All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chase Carter Concept Podcast for Thursday, December 3rd. I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody doing? Like there's an audience. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm asking questions to an audience that's not there. 5 people in their cars. We're doing great. We're doing fantastic. Tell us about your day. Okay, I will. Doing all right. Doing all right. Just doing some editing work. Not doing too much. Girlfriend topics. I'm gonna go right into it. My girlfriend Corey, been with for the past year and a half, 2 years. Who's counting? She is, not me. Um, guys don't really keep track of how long we've been dating a girl at all. There's so many things that I don't pay attention to in relationships, and that's one of them. For sure. I just don't see the importance of remembering when things happen. Kind of like looking back onto it, looking back on it casually is interesting. And it's like, oh wait, when was that? Was that 2012? When was that? And figuring out that's kind of fun. And just, but keeping track of it, having anniversaries, like this is the first time we ate steak together. This is the first time that we let's see, we had our first candy cane or at the cotton candy at the roller. This is our first roller coaster ride. Was at Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's like, what are we doing? Are we together? Do we still like each other? That's the important part. Okay. What do you want to eat tonight? Salmon? Okay, good. I'm for it. I'm all for that. I don't get the Hallmark card treatment of things. And then I can maybe see doing positive anniversaries, but there are people who keep track of negative, like when people die. Well, let's see, your grandpa died in January 1955. That's when he died. So that means your aunt Wanda, she died at. It's like who cares? Let's when you go visit them and pay your respects at the at the at their grave. That's when you should know when they died. Otherwise, I don't want to be reminded every year in January that Aunt Propecia, Lisa, whatever you want to say. I don't want to, like, you say someone's name, then it just happens to be a family's. Did you hear they said you were gonna die? Aunt Winifred. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Just I want to blissfully go through life and not remember when those things happened. Because if I truly love someone and they pass away, it feels like they died yesterday almost. And I don't want to be reminded of that. It's like, oh yeah, your grandmother died 10 years ago. It's like, really? Has it been that long? It feels like I'm just kind of not getting over it. I'm still not over that? Wow, that says a lot about me. But anyways, we're going to plow ahead here through the death part of the of the podcast. Corey, my girlfriend, great gal, very strange. Learned a few strange things. She talks in her sleep and has full conversations that she does not remember. I've always thought she remembered these conversations, but last week, few days ago, or this week, I should say, she had multiple conversations with me and doesn't remember. Had to jog her memory kind of what happened. I was like, do you remember talking to me last night, waking up 2 or 3 times, having conversations that lasted a few minutes and then going back to sleep? She said no. She laughed out loud. I was eating in bed. I had crackers and cheese and a hot dog, a cold hot dog. For some reason, I love cold hot dogs. Love cold turkey hot dogs. It's a good snack. And so I hate going to bed hungry, even though I should. But I'm sitting there. I'm laying down on my back, plate on my chest. I couldn't sit up, like an adult. I had to lay there on my back watching YouTube videos or Netflix. I'm just sitting there eating, crunching away. And she's like, "What are you?" And then she starts to smell me. She starts to get in my face and smell me. Like, what is that? I was like, it's crackers and cheese. And what's something like? She's like a canine, a bloodhound. She's all, no, I smell something else. No, there's something else in there. And I tell her, it's a hot dog. She's like, you're eating a cold hot dog, and then she bursts out into this laughter, this witch laughter, this, which is awkward, annoying, and adorable. And then she goes, that's funny, and then rolls over and just goes right back to sleep. And I'm like, that's a little strange. And then I try to talk to her about it the next day. She doesn't remember these conversations. And then I think she did admit, she's like, oh yeah, I remember that, but then she didn't remember anything that I didn't say. I was like, do you remember anything else? And she's like, but then I would say something, and then she'd go, oh yeah, I remember that. I'm like, you don't really remember it. You're just saying yes because you don't want to seem like you're a crazy person who has full conversations in their sleep. But there was she gets into these sentences, and she's not a very quick, how can I say this without being killed if she hears it? She's not when she thinks of something, and then her ability to speak it isn't very fast. And so her brain is going kind of quicker than her mouth is. And then she'll say words that don't belong in the sentences or don't mean anything. But in her head, it makes sense, but she doesn't know how to express it in the correct words. And she said words aren't important. Action is, anytime she messes up, she's like, words aren't important. Actions are important. And I'm like, this is not a philosophical classroom, lady. Like, when you say words, they have meaning and definition. And I don't understand what you're saying unless you speak clearly. And if I'm having an issue, I mean, I'm half mentally ill anyway. So you can't say the R word anymore. You can't say the R word. Don't say it. Have TikToked. But she was in this sentence that one of the things she said before that makes one of my friends laugh is they were talking about injuries. So we were talking about like, oh, I've broken my arm, I fractured my collarbone, a suspected fracture. They don't know. They never took X-rays. I question that. I'm like, what are your sources that I have a cracked? She's like, well, depending on your movement, that's what we think. I'm like, no, don't think so. But she was talking to my friend Ray, and he's telling her his injuries, and then she's like, yeah, I've never been injured before. I've never had a serious injury. And then she says, well, I've had 3 concussions, but I've never had a serious injury. And we're just, that's a really serious injury. Have you ever been hurt before? No, I've never been hurt. I've gone unscathed. I have irreparable brain damage, though. Like, how do you not think she's in the medical field? She's a dental hygienist, so she understands what like an injury is. She's not a barista. No offense to baristas. She's not a waitress. No offense to waitresses. She's not a bum, a homeless person. No offense to homeless people. But so she says these sentences, and so I started. She said a lot of them, and I've been trying to write them down as they happen. Of course, I forget. I'm dumb. But one of them I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. So put this word, like she said this confidently, like it's something she said her whole life. That she's, that this was in a high school classroom, and she said, it's like, oh yeah, remember back when in 9th grade when this happened? Ever since then, I've known this about myself. She says, I'm not very agile. I think that's why I can't draw a straight line. And I couldn't wrap my head around how that made sense to a normal human being. I call her an extraterrestrial because she's not from this planet. She doesn't experience emotions like a human being, a normal, average human being. She has these thoughts that are insane, insane, adorable. Insanely, not insanely adorable, insane and adorable, if I can get my words correct. But yeah, I've never been agile. I think that's why I can't draw a straight line. What does that have to do? I can see like an injury. It's just so absurd and a dry sense of humor that I can't stop finding that hilarious. And then one other funny little one. She was sleeping, and I went to kiss her goodnight, and I guess my breath smelled like hot dogs, turkey hot dogs, and she pushed my face away and said, "Don't scare my face." She put her yeah, "Don't scare my face," and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But okay, good night, you psycho. But those are my Corey talks. Those are my Corey random conversations. But we're doing good. We got a compute. We're getting a computer. We had to split that because money's tight. And then we had a financial issue, and by issue we calmly talked about it. We split up the food, and I thought we split up all of the food except for essential singular items. So hypothetically, say if she's the only one who drinks the coffee, or has like a energy drink or protein thing that we don't both share. Um, then we pay for it individually. But like, let's not get too into the weeds. Let's not start picking at cheap little items, just the big ticket items, that we use on a daily basis. Okay. So she had to pay something extra. I forget what it was. And so she couldn't save. She had to pull money out of her savings. And by money, I mean a few $100s. She had to do that for the first time. And to see her get nervous and not like pulling money out of her savings was such a trait that I admire and care about, that I'm just like, I can see myself being with you for a while, because I would be just as uncomfortable. Granted, it's Thanksgiving and Christmas time, so you're going to spend a little extra money. She just traveled to Virginia. I can't remember where. Anyway, she traveled across the country a month or two ago. And then I bring that up. She's like, well, I have points. I have the flight is free. That's not. And I'm like, well, what are we doing here? But and then we're splitting the laptop. But that money I won't get until like a month or two, when she's comfortable, when she's saved a few $100s a month. That's what she wants to do. And I'm like, okay, lady, okay. It wasn't an issue before, but until you had an unforeseen, and then she said, well, actually, could we start? You're the one who eats the bananas. You're the one who eats the bananas, so you should pay for the bananas. And I'm like, look, I made this suggestion when we started living together, that we can split everything up individually, but I don't want to like nitpick at stuff. Let's just like the coffee, and then what was my I buy like little Cliff bars, like little protein bullshit bars that she doesn't eat. I'm like, one or two things, let's pay for individually, or if I buy whatever. But then if we go to the store together and buy stuff, we just split it. We're a couple, let's just split it. But now we're nitpicking. And if there's a nitpicker in the house that's going to win a nitpicking contest, it's going to be me. Okay? Because she hasn't seen she's seen cheap versions of me, very frugal versions of me. But she has not seen the real man that I am. She's not seen it. And she's going to be a little surprised. She's going to be a little surprised, because I don't want the Hershey Kisses, the Hershey chocolates in the house. I don't want the 7 pounds of sugar in our cupboard. I don't want to buy that. But I split. But hey, I don't want all of the what do you bake with? Bread, yeast, whatever. I don't want any of that. Because she only eats sweets. I don't want to be 300 pounds, in a few years. I don't want these things. I don't have snacks. I eat cheese. I eat meat. I eat a little bit of bread, even though I should probably cut back on the bread, eating a little too much, even though I have taco sandwiches. Okay, I have a sandwich with just one piece of bread, fold the bread up like a taco and eat it. That's the way I cut down on carbs. And I cut down on carbs, and then I go eat 7 bread rolls at Thanksgiving. But it's just, those bread rolls are so good. Oh, my goodness. Why is bread so good? Bread and pasta? I don't understand. I wish I didn't like as much as I dislike pickles and mustard and onions. Oh, God, onions. I wish big onions. Little chopped up onions are fine to get a little bit of taste, but when they overpower something, they're such an overpowering substance. I don't like it. And I won't tolerate it. So so to see her kind of not squirm, but kind of get uncomfortable about these little finances because she didn't save hundreds of dollars that did not go into her savings. That's privilege. If I've ever seen white privilege, unbelievable. It's like your savings are for the holidays. I'm not saying take out thousands of dollars to put back into your checking. Just a couple hundred. That's fine. That's fine. But it was pretty funny. And then our dog, my mom's dog. Speaking of spending money, my mom's little doggy. She's a big like mountain hairy. Actually, hold on. I want to look and see what kind of dog. Large, hairy, mountain dog. Let's see if I. Oh, yes, you're right there. That kind of looks like her. It does. Largest dog breeds. What is that? Sheesh, wait, dogs. Where is the? I don't know why it's so fun to talk like that. Big dog list, part 1. No. They show big dog. Big dogs list, and then they show a puppy of the big dog. I'm like, that's not Rottweiler. Got it. What's that? Grape. Okay. So many different types of dogs. Oh, that hound was ugly. Good Lord. Newfoundland. This is the breed's called Newfoundland. Isn't that a place? What should we name our dog? Well, where are we from? Newfoundland. That's the name of the dog. You guys aren't very creative up there, are you? The saddest dog. His whole face is just coming off. Leon Burger. Kind of like that dog. Maybe. Not too sure. But it's this mountain dog. I've looked it up before. I can't remember. But it's this mountain dog that had, what did it have? It was bred to like herd cows and stuff. So what's interesting, this dog's never been on a farm or any kind of ranch in its life. It's never been outside of a small, not a small, but a normal sized gated area. And so when you play with her and you're running around, she loves this one football, and it was her football. So if you took it, she didn't fight you for it, but she got real rough with you. So I would run with the football, and she would nip at my ankles and she would try to grab like with her 2 paws and like put her paws in front of my leg and like cross them, so I would trip. And that's what they did with the cows, and she it's bred into her. It's so interesting how all of that happens. I'm like, why did she try? I was like, how did she learn how to trip people and bite? Because other dogs don't do that. And because she did it in this very technical way. It wasn't just a dog jumping on. I don't know. Jumping on me. Let's see here. Oh yeah. So anyways, got sidetracked looking up the dog breed. So the dog tore her ACL and she was limping around. And so my mom took her to a vet in Utah to get that done. And I told my mom, hey, I'll help you out. This is funny. I told my mom, hey, I'll help you out and pay half of the vet bill, what have you. So she's like, okay, it's going to be like $800-900. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then we had another person like, hey, I'll help you out too. And then my mom goes, okay, then you two can pay for half and I'll just pay for the trip down there. And I'm like, no. You don't get out of it. I started laughing. I was like, no, good. That's a trick. So we're splitting up, say $900 to $1,000 between 3 people. That's $300 a person. That's what we're paying. You like traveling. You would go to Utah by yourself and have a trip. You're out there visiting your friends. I'm not doing that. No, you're not getting out of it that easily. I like to think of it like a joke. Just, oh, you think I'm going to pay for? Oh, no. It's not. There's not a limit to how many people can pay for. Well, the doctor said only 2 people could pay, so you and then another person. Yeah, it's like no. Sorry, mom. Not getting out of that. And this is a good way to see if she listens to if the 5 plays in the podcast are just her listening to the podcast 5 times to learn about my life. But see if I get a text message in a few days after this. That should be good. Let me take a drink of water. Okay. All right. So what's been going on in the NBA? John Wall is going to be NBA for another 10, 15 minutes. So if you don't like sports, fast forward. John Wall, this doesn't make, I guess like the new, okay. So if you don't know, actually, I don't want to over-explain the whole history of this, but Russell Westbrook plays for the Houston Rockets. He's played 1 season. 1 season. And they traded him. They didn't have a successful season. And they traded him away. They traded him to the team because the James Harden wanted him and the owner wanted him. The GM didn't. Daryl Morey. And so I just don't understand why you make that huge trade. You get the guy, you get rid of all those picks, and then you trade him away after a season. So I don't know if these players are unhappy. If they don't win a championship, they get moody. Or if it's just some players, who knows? But then John Wall, some people say he's wore out his welcome in DC. Other people said he's a beloved figure there. He's been injured the last 2 and 3 years. Hasn't been able. So like, is this just a new a scenery thing? But Russell Westbrook just got traded to the Rockets. Could he stay there for 3 or 4 years? Is that too much to ask superstars who have these contracts to stay there? Because the whole point, I think, unless fans are just people who watch the game are just fans of the players instead of the teams. Because if you have people like, I'm a team fan, I like the Bulls, and so I'm gonna follow the Bulls regardless. I'm now my time watching them and following them decreases when they do bad, obviously. But I still follow them. I still follow the team, see their trade, their draft picks, see what trade assets they got, see who they're hiring for the general manager position and president of basketball operations and all that stuff. I want to see I'm always interested when teams have success and then they fall and they have success again and they fall, just kind of that. And then there are teams that have no success and are mediocre their entire franchise existence. And I'm like, well, why is that? And it's like, well, it's because there are usually 5 players that affect winning in the league. And there's only 5 teams have those guys. And if it was for the Warriors, they had all 5 of them at one point. But and there was another interesting, but I just don't. No, I don't want to talk about like, oh, the Rockets are going to do better now because they have John Wall. Like, I have no idea. I have no idea what it's like to play at that level. But I do understand the viewpoint of a fan. I wouldn't support these teams anymore, which in turn supports the players. Like, I would never buy a jersey again. Never. The last jersey I bought was this is when I stopped. It was Ben Gordon. When was that? I want to say in the early 2000s. It was Ben Gordon, and I bought it, and then he was a free agent. I should have done my homework. His contract was up, and like we drafted him. I'm like, oh, he's going to stay with the team. He left for Detroit that next year and then just fell off the face of the planet. Got this huge deal and didn't really have an injury that was memorable that I recall, and just kind of fell off. And I'm sitting there as a fan, like, I bought your jersey. Now I'm supporting the team and you at the same time because you get a cut of the jersey sales. You get 50% of all basketball related income, BRI. I'm sitting there as a fan saying, like, why am I doing this? I'm going to buy 1 or 2 Bulls shirts, and that's it. Like, players that jump from team to team because they're not happy and they don't want to stick it out and go through tough times. Like, that's what makes winning great, is losing. If losing didn't suck so bad, winning wouldn't feel that good. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too serious. Maybe it's just like casual fans don't really care. And they're like, hey, what team did LeBron go to? What team did Kevin Durant go to this offseason? And that's fun for them. It's like, I want to see Giannis stay with the Milwaukee Bucks as long as the Milwaukee Bucks are trying to put a good team around him. And maybe change a team like once or twice. That would be interesting if there's something in the NBA, the CBA, where you can only change teams like 3 times in your career. That would be, it wouldn't be free agency then. It'd be like kind of free agency. Okay, 3 teams in 3 years. But then I don't know, because then I don't think that's a good idea now that I think about it for more than 5 seconds, because then teams couldn't trade those players. Like, you would have to put in a trade request. Like that's what you would have to, like, a player would have to formally put in a trade request, and you can only do that 3 times. But in free agency, you'd have, I don't know how that would work. Maybe during your contract. So you have to, if you sign a contract with, say, the Bulls, a 4-year deal, you have to play out that contract. And you can only maybe ask, this is getting really nerdy and into the weeds, but maybe just thinking out loud here, maybe so that within that 4-year deal, you can only ask for a trade once. The team could only trade you once. That would be interesting, because then a team and a player would have some kind of security. Because you see these players getting traded around, even the people who don't want to switch teams. What was his name? Rudy. Oh my gosh. What was that guy's name? Rudy. Oh my God. He's a Minnesota Timberwolves point guard. He's a good European point guard. NBA. It's not Rudy. It's oh my God. NBA Timberwolves point guard. I'm going to see his face, and I'm just going to be like, I'm dumb. Ricky Rubio. I knew it was an R. Jesus, I'm stupid. Yeah, so Ricky Rubio, he got traded to 3 different, he was on, so he ended up back on the Minnesota Timberwolves. He went to Phoenix, I believe, for a day, and then Phoenix traded for him, and then a day later, so he's thinking, oh, I'm going to go to Phoenix, and then a day later, he gets traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So let's see, NBA Ricky Rubio. Why is it on images? I don't understand why it's on images. That's annoying. Returns to Timberwolves. Yeah, so this guy, let's see his stats here. By team, 6'3", big guy. Like how people are like, oh, you're 6'3", you're tall. It's like, no. So yeah, so he started out in Minnesota. He played from 2011 to 2016. He played for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then he got then he went to Utah, played in Utah for 2 seasons, and then in Phoenix, and then Phoenix traded him. They traded him somewhere, and then those people, I think it was, he's to Oklahoma City. That's what it was. They traded him to Oklahoma City, and then Oklahoma City flipped him back to the Timberwolves. And it's like, from his perspective, wouldn't it be cool? This is the long road to get to what I'm saying. Is if players knew, he's like, hey, I've already been traded one time by the team, this contract that I signed. I'm thinking they would have to do, or does the NBA like all of this shuffling? Because because then what would the ESPNs and everybody talk about? All the podcasters like myself. I wouldn't even call myself a podcaster. How dare I call myself a podcaster? You have 5 listens. I know. I'm slowly building. Slowly. No advertising though. So pretty much the only people that are ever going to hear this are my family members and friends, and not even maybe one friend. Because who really listens to their friends talk? Nobody. Because you know how full of shit they are. I don't know. I don't know what the answer would be for the NBA deal. I think that would be the best thing for the fans, because the whole point of like rooting for a team is getting to know the players for a long period of time, and rooting for them. Like, I remember 8 years ago when we drafted him, and the city of Chicago was behind Jordan. And a player like that, teams aren't going to get rid of. But now players, if they're unhappy, they just go join their friends. And then also, are teams upset that these players are so chummy and so friendly? And why are they so friendly and chummy? Is because of all the time they get to spend together at the All-Star game, at the Olympics. So if you don't want all the players hanging out and engaging in these new friendships, you got to get rid of the Olympics, and then you got to get rid of the All-Star game. You can't do either of those. So this is always going to happen. But like 3 superstars on a team, that's not really that fun. Give me 2 and some role players on each team. 2 real good players and then role players. And let's see who can use their role players better to win. And then that's why when like a guy by himself winning a championship with like he's the single superstar is so impressive. When Dirk Nowitzki won the championship by himself, basically, so disrespectful to his teammates, by himself against the Miami Heat with 3 All-Stars on the team. He had by himself. It's like he had all these old All-Stars on his team. And when something happens like that, when Kawhi Leonard, granted injuries really helped him, but we don't dismiss the Warriors' first championship. But when they won, that each team that they faced had a very, very significant injury. But speaking of injuries, I won my NBA 2K20 championship. Back-to-back NBA champions. I faced off against the Minnesota Timberwolves in the NBA Finals, and Karl Anthony Towns suffered a left ankle season-ending injury right before the series started, and it was so easy and simple to beat that team without Karl Anthony. It was Andrew Wiggins and a bunch of bums. I was very excited about that. But I don't know what would be the answer to a more stable roster foundation for teams, because you don't want to put the power in the team's hands. And you don't want all the power to be in the players' hands. You want like a mixture. So I think maybe that would be a good idea. The team can trade you once per contract, and you can ask for a trade, but you have to formally ask for a trade. You have to publicly do it, which would players probably wouldn't like that because of the fans' reaction to them, since they're all over social media and they care what everybody thinks. But if you're unhappy, you're unhappy, and you do. People get a trade request all the time, but they do it informally. And it's like, rumor is John Wall is unhappy in Washington. And then so 2 or 3, weeks go by that he gets traded. So I wonder what, besides that, I think that's the only way you could fix it. Because there is a no trade clause. So I guess you'd have to give out the no trade clause more. But instead of the no trade clause, it's just once. And then if a player, I would say the player has no choice for the first trade if you get traded. And then after that, the player has a choice maybe. So if a team wants to trade for him, he's like, no, I like it here. I want to stay here. You can't, but then there would be some hostility between them. So it would have to be a surefire thing. You trade him once, you got him for the remainder of his deal. But then people wouldn't, and then you can see the fallout from that is if you have 3 years left in your deal, 2 years left in your deal, people wouldn't trade for you because they know they have to deal with you for another 2 or 3 years. It'd be interesting. I don't know, a little wrinkle like that to encourage players and teams to stick together for the contract that they signed. It's like, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, they just signed extensions. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Like maybe in their instance it does. But we saw Anthony Davis sign a max extension with the Pelicans and then a year later ask to be, taken out of that or whatever. I think that was him anyway, if I can remember correctly. But it's just, I don't know. We get it. You don't like it. Okay, I'll move on. Fine. I'll move on. Jeez. There, it's just, I don't know. There's a thing that's going on. It went on, I think it was early last week that I saw all these people posted a thing on social media saying, I don't like these. I don't like certain trends annoy me. And so there's people post a thing on social media saying, describe my personality in a GIF only. In a GIF only. So now we're so lazy that we can't even describe people with words. We have to use an animated picture of them to describe them. And it's just like one person does it and another person goes, oh, that seems cool. I'll do the same thing. Cindy, what do you think of me using only a GIF? Ha! And it's just, I don't know why little things like that make my blood boil, but it's a continuous thing. I don't get it personally. I want to see what the Anthony Davis, if you ever want to feel poor, look up NBA player salaries. If I can spell salaries, that'd be great. Who are the highest paid players in the NBA? If you guess Steph Curry, you are correct. $40 million even. And he takes home probably 17 of that since he's in California. Nope, come on. I don't want to all these. Nope, I don't care about that video. Do any of these people? Nope, none of these two chicks talking. None of them look familiar. See, Steph gets paid $40 million a year right now for this upcoming season, and then all these are going to go up in the following seasons. We got Chris Paul making $38.5 million. Russell Westbrook 38.1. He lives in Texas, so he's keeping most of that. Good for him. Good for you. Well, not anymore. He's in DC. John Wall 37.8. James Harden 37.8 tie. They tied. It's like, I've got a little more. I wonder if they worry about that. I got 37.8. Well, I got 37.9, so they must like me better. LeBron James gets $37.4 million. Kevin Durant 37.1. I want to see what's Anthony Davis's Anthony Davis contract, including 5-year deal. Yeah, this is a 5-year deal. Anthony Davis signed a 5-year, $189.9 million contract with the Los Angeles Lakers, including, I like how they say this, it's $189.9 million guaranteed. So So all of it's just say 100% guaranteed contract, because in the NBA, some of the contracts aren't fully guaranteed, which is an interesting little wrinkle in how teams kind of get out of paying players certain amounts of money. And an annual average salary of $37.9 million. Davis will earn a base salary of $32.7 million while carrying a cap hit of 32.7, the same thing, and a dead cap value of the same thing. Okay. So he will get paid. He won't be a free agent until he's 32 years old, until 2025. That's when his contract's up, but he has a player option for the 24-25 season. So when he's 31, he could opt out and go play for another team. So the Lakers have him for sure for the next 4 years, where he'll get paid 32 this upcoming season, this shortened season, which is interesting because you don't know how they're getting paid, because of the money coming in is going to be a lot less. So their salaries are going to dip a little bit. And by a little bit for them. I can't buy a Maserati. I don't even know if that's a nice car. No, you can't buy a third extra Maserati. Okay, you're going to have to suffer with 2. But where are all my whores going to fit? 30. So for this next year, he'll get 32.7, Anthony Davis. And then the following year, he'll get 35.3. And then 37.9, and then 40.6. That's insane. And Steph Curry is getting $40 million. Now, I want to see Steph Curry, because he's on that max deal, because he gets paid more because he's with the same team that drafted him. Why is this being difficult? Why is it being slow? This is why I'm getting a new computer. Steph Curry signed a 5-year, $201 million contract with the Golden State Warriors, including, blah, 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 guaranteed. Block trade clause. Oh, so he had a no trade clause in his old contract, but this one he doesn't. Interesting. I guess if a team is offering you a max deal, you don't really have like an option to say, no, this is not what I want. Like, we're giving you all of the money. You're like, okay, that's fine. That's fair. So Steph Curry, yeah, he signed that. When did he sign that deal? We're on a base salary of $43 million. So this upcoming season, Steph Curry will make $43 million. And then the next year, actually, he's been on the no trade clause since he signed it. So in 2018-19, he made 37.4, 19-20, and he's been injured this past season. He got $40.2 million. This upcoming season, 43, like I said, pretty much even. 6,362 to be correct. I wonder if they round that off, and then NBA, the players are like, I want that $6,000. It's not 43 even. Don't round down. We round up. 21, and this, so after this season, the following season, he'll get paid $45.7 million, and then he'll be an unrestricted free agent at the ripe age of 34 years of age. Then I wonder what he's going to do. And he didn't have a player option or anything. It's just I guess if you're paying a player that much money, they're like, you're not leaving. You're not getting a player option. But Anthony Davis signed a big max deal the biggest deal he could sign with, and he opted for a player option. Interesting. I guess you always want your options open, but if you want your options open, then don't sign that max deal, even though that's security and all that other stuff. But I don't know. Like, how many players would you say deserve a max contract? Like LeBron James, I argue LeBron James underpaid. Best current NBA players. Let's see a list here. 24 more rows. Okay, so the number 1, they have LeBron James in the previous third. When was he ever the third best player in the NBA? How dare you? How dare you, sir? Fastest fallers. Nobody cares. Can I just get a list instead of this huge thing I have to scroll through? I don't like this. NBA's best players. Now, there's a big three. It's like Jaylen Brown. I don't know if I would give him. He plays for the Boston Celtics. I don't think he's earned a max deal. Like, he's young. Kristaps Porzingis has said is number 49. He wouldn't get a max deal. Chris Middleton, no. DeAndre Ayton, not yet. Zion Williamson. As far as like entertainment value, yes. But I would say as far as the best players in the league, like the top maybe 10, Montrezl Harrell, they have the 45th best player in the NBA. You should be spat upon. Jamal Murray, Brandon Ingram, Bam Adebayo, no. Fred VanVleet, no. RJ Barrett, no. Colin Sexton, Blake Griffin, Devontae Graham, Zach LaVine, definitely shouldn't have a max deal. Rudy Gobert. I think you should have like your contract should be dependent on winning. If you have a championship, you're eligible for more money. That way, that encourages players to win. Their contracts could be like that, possibly. But instead of a bonus, it's based into your salary. But then, do you really want to have restrictions on what a person can make? I'm just saying from a basketball standpoint. Kemba Walker, no. Drew Holiday, no. DeMar DeRozan, no. CJ McCollum, no. LaMarcus Aldridge. It's ridiculous that he's even 25th overall now. You haven't heard from him in forever. That's because Spurs. Klay Thompson. You can maybe argue a max deal for him. Maybe. But he's like a elite 2 second option. I don't know if he can be. Of course, we haven't seen him. That's a main option. It's too late in his career to do that. Karl Anthony Towns, like you can save like by potential, maybe one day, but he hasn't shown that. He hasn't shown winning. Chris Paul, maybe as a max guy, he could be the best player on the team. He's got He's got injuries at terrible times. Jason Tatum, possibly, but hasn't proved it yet. Joel Embiid, same thing. Bradley Beal, like you can pay like Devin Booker. First of all, Bradley Beal is better than Devin Booker. How dare you? And Trae Young is not better than either. They have Trae Young as the 17th best basketball player in the NBA. Who would I pick over Trae Young? Devin Booker, definitely. Bradley Beal, definitely. Joel Embiid, definitely. Jason Tatum, definitely. Chris Paul, who made this list? Trae Young's mother? No disrespect to Mrs. Young. Pascal Siakam is 16. No. Russell Westbrook is 15. Definitely not. Paul George, definitely not. Donovan Mitchell, not a superstar. Kyrie Irving, not a Joakim. Was it Nikola? Oh, sorry, thinking of Joakim Noah. Nikola Jokic, the Joker. Djokovic. How do you say his last name? Jokic. Yeah, Jokic. Keep forgetting how to say his name. Damian Lillard. Luka Doncic is number 9. I think this is before the season. Jimmy Butler, number 8. Like, what would make James Harden's number 7? Is he worth a max deal? Kevin Durant, yes. Anthony Davis, yes. Steph Curry, I would say yes. Giannis Antetokounmpo, yes. Kawhi Leonard, yes. And LeBron, yeah. So there's like 5 to 8, like I said, players that affect winning and deserve a max contract. I would say James Harden, yes, he deserves a max contract. But he hasn't proven that he can win in the playoffs. But he's proven he can carry it. He can put him in a bunch of people that can shoot around him, and he's going to the playoffs. Jimmy Butler, you can say kind of earned it in the finals, but I wouldn't say he's which is interesting. So Jimmy Butler steps up like James Harden can't in the playoffs, but Jimmy Butler's not going to give you 30 points a night in the regular season. He's going to do all the little things that you don't really see. And then Luka, God knows what he's going to be. He's on pace to be the greatest player of all time if he continues to grow. And if he just stays where he is, he's going to be a top 5 player in the league his whole life. Damian Lillard, you can't even say that. Like, you can't, unless you can carry a team, lead a team to a championship, or be the number 2 guy. I don't think you deserve a max contract as far as basketball speaking goes. I don't think so. It's interesting. I don't know if any of that made sense. Let me look into. We got 10 minutes left. I went real hard on basketball this episode. But let me look at these little fun Google News items and see where I'm gonna go. Xbox Series controller is hurting some adult gamers' hands. Get out of here. It's hurting your hands. Then you're a pussy. Favorite pages. Let's see here. Loading. Why is it always loading? There's an interesting article by, was it SciTech? Yeah, SciTechDaily.com. And the title of the article, Scientists Reverse the Aging Clock, Restore Age-Related Vision Loss Through Epigenic? Gentic? How do you say that word? Epigenetic? I have no idea. Never said that word before in my life. It shows how smart I am. Reprogramming. So they reprogram your eye to be younger? Harvard Medical School scientists have successfully restored vision in mice by turning back the clock on aged eye cells in the retina to recapture youthful gene function. Can I get my 15-year-old eyes back, please? Because I'm blind right now. The addition to resetting the cell's aging clock, the researchers successfully reversed vision loss in animals with the condition mimicking human glaucoma, a leading cause of blindness around the world. Glaucoma starts in mice? No. Our study demonstrates that it's possible to safely reverse the age of the complex tissue such as the retina and restore its youthful biological function. It's pretty interesting. So if you can't see, just walk around blind for the next few years, and hopefully these scientists will fix everything. That's what I'm hoping for, personally. There's an interesting article about, what was it? There's a gaping hole in our knowledge. Apparently Halo's not going to have a battle royale mode. Like, Halo developer responds to battle royale rumors. There's unfound. And then that mysterious Utah, which I think is it's got to be a publicity stunt, or someone saw that, was just messing around, and then other people built their own versions because now they're popping up in California and all over the place. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's like a cyberpunk thing, but the monolith in Utah was removed because I guess people were almost dying trying to hike out to it, and so some people just removed it for safety's sake. It was like, people don't need to be coming out here. It's like, okay, dude, okay. What was it? Talked about that. Experimenting with how to pay studio. That's interesting. That's not really that interesting. Microsoft CEO says the company is very, very much focused. This is a good business article. Except, come on, we like to show you notifications. Cancel. Got to go into the cookie settings, of course. Can I get? Thank you. During Microsoft, it says, Microsoft CEO told shareholders Wednesday that the company is very, very much focused on growing the Xbox business. Well, yeah, you just bought Bethesda for $7.8 billion. I would assume that's focused. During the firm's annual shareholders meeting, Satya Nadella was asked what efforts Microsoft is making to win the console war with PS5. First of all, you're not winning a console war. Okay, you're not even competing with PlayStation right now. You're not even competing, and that's what losers, people who aren't selling, have to say. But you're selling more than just a game console. You're selling like an experience, a subscription, and all that. So what efforts are you making to win the console war? First thing, we're very excited about the new console launches in the market. I like how when people are asked a question nowadays, they never answer it directly. They're all, well, first of all, can I say something? He's like, well, what about those dead babies in your closet? Well, there's the first thing I like to say is the people who made our linens, our sheets, fantastic job. The best of jobs that we can even imagine. And I don't believe that any children should be killed. It's like, what? You didn't even answer the question. First thing, we're very excited, he said, of Xbox Series S and X, which will debuted in November, broke Microsoft's 24-hour launch record. Of course, everything gets broken. Our 14-hour launch record of over 1 million sales, according to the company. We always have sort of focus on ensuring that our gaming community that counts on us to produce the best consoles has a next generation of consoles, which are powerful and really great for gameplay. And we are supporting it with the best content, with the best community. But the broader vision we have is to ensure that the 3 billion gamers out there are able to play their games anywhere they want with all the content they want and with whom they want to. They'll continue, transcribed by Seeking Alpha. And that's really what we're building our strategy around. You've seen us double our content portfolio with the ZeniMax acquisition. You see us making advances in our community efforts and our subscription service with Game Pass, and that's what you can expect from us. We are absolutely very, very much focused on gaming and ensuring that all the 3 billion gamers around the world get the best content, best community, and best cloud service to power their game experiences going forward. In September, Microsoft revealed its intention of buying ZeniMax Studio following the announcement. We'll consider buying more game companies in the future. Demand for Microsoft's new console is expected to outstrip supply for the foreseeable future, with the Xbox head Phil Spencer recently suggesting that S and X shortages will continue into the spring of 2021. And I think that's it for the podcast. So it's kind of interesting to see Microsoft, which when it first started the Xbox branch, I guess you can say, wasn't very much behind it at first, but then as gaming, because gaming's always been, it's interesting, it's always been the biggest form of media on the planet. That and porn, I think porn is the only thing that beats it. It's bigger than all of your movies. It's bigger than the movie industry and the music industry combined. That's how much money the video game industry makes, and that's insane. So I don't know why companies haven't focused on this more in the past. And it was Nintendo for a while, and then it was they saw it as like little kiddish stuff. But I don't know. It's just weird how people perceive things and look at things. It's like, do you want to make trillions of dollars? Yeah, video game company. Make it good. It's interesting and it's reassuring to see Microsoft taking it seriously, because they did not take it seriously with the Xbox One, and they failed that whole thing. And then they got Phil Spencer in there. He kind of fixed their focus on the system, and I'm excited. I'm excited for one. And then Cyberpunk 2077 comes out in a few days, and I'll be playing that more. And you guys will hear a lot about that on the podcast. I appreciate you guys listening. That's it for this week. I rambled a lot today. I'm learning how to do this, okay? I'm 30 episodes in. I'm still learning. We're all learning, aren't we, in life? And that's the moral of the story. You guys have a good one. You'll hear from me next week. Take it easy. Easy on you. You got this shit knocking, bro.